What's up, everybody? Matt Gajeski here, back again with the Stokastic channel, talking some preseason DFS ahead of Friday, August the 12th. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. Today, we will be talking about preseason DFS. We have a 4-game slate, and we'll talk position by position, giving you the best plays overall. Today's video is also brought to you by PrizePicks. And if you've never heard of PrizePicks, they have some pretty good deals for you guys. And if you use the promo code AWESEMO, you are going to get a $100 first match deposit bonus. PrizePicks, if you've never heard of them, they're a daily prop-based site. There's no sharks, optimizers, or mass entries. You can make lineups up to 5 players where you can 10 extra entry fee, and you can use your knowledge across sports with cross sports entries, taking advantage of football, baseball, whatever your specialties may be. So make sure to check out PrizePicks. Again, promo code AWESEMO for a $100 first match deposit bonus. All right, getting into tonight's preseason slate, we have 4 games on deck, and there's a couple teams that are significantly more narrow in terms of playing time than others. And one we're going to talk about a lot is Green Bay. They are taking on San Francisco. Matchups, again, don't really matter in preseason. We are looking for most playing time. The path to the highest ceiling comes through that playing time. And Green Bay is a team that's very, very narrowly distributed, and that's been a tradition for them over the last couple of years. At quarterback, you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers. So that leaves 2 quarterbacks on the roster, Jordan Love and Danny Etling. Jordan Love is their former first-round draft pick from many years ago now, but he's a player that still is trying to prove himself for the future. And Danny Etling, he's bounced around some teams, played a little bit with New England in the preseason. Jordan Love should handle a majority of this game, and that makes him the best quarterback play on the slate overall. Etling, I think, is fine behind him. Most of the quarterback situations tonight are at least 2 guys. The other situation where I do have some interest is Arizona, where you have Trace McSorley and just Jarrett Garantano. That would be the second spot I would take a look at tonight. At running back, there's 2 good situations here as well. One of them is Green Bay, and that's because we are dealing with either injuries or just absences in the first preseason game to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Kylan Hill, and Patrick Taylor. That leaves 3 healthy backs on this team: Tyler Goodson, B.J. Baylor, and Dexter Williams, who was signed just a few days ago. Dexter Williams is kind of a long-time holdover for this team. He's been a long-time practice squad guy. But you essentially have Tyler Goodson and B.J. Baylor battling the likes of Kylan Hill and Patrick Taylor for this RB3 spot. Both of those guys are injured. So I think you can use either of them. Both of them have good pass catching skill sets. Goodson's maybe a little better there. He's also a little bit of a smaller back. So if you're looking for the receptions, Goodson offers it. And the other situation is Philadelphia, where you have injuries to Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. That leaves just Miles Sanders, Jason Huntley, and Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy Brooks is a player that was a UDFA out of Oklahoma, had over 3,000 rushing yards in his 3-year career there. And he has a 3-down skill set. So he's somebody I think you can also use. Wide receiver, you guessed it. We're going right back to Green Bay. This is a tradition with this team. They just don't play their starters in the preseason. So you're not going to see Lazard. You're not going to see Cobb. Christian Watson's hurt. Sammy Watkins and Malik Taylor are hurt. That leaves just 6 healthy receivers, which is the fewest we're going to have on the slate. Romeo Dubes, Amari Rodgers, Juwan Winfrey, Samori Torrey, Danny Davis, and Ishmael Hyman. I think the players that are most interesting here are Amari Rodgers, Juwan Winfrey, and Samori Torrey. Dubes is a lock to make the roster at this point with how well he's played. Rodgers has a lot to prove after essentially underperforming each of the last 2 years as a former 3rd-round draft pick. And then Juwan Winfrey and Samori Torrey. Torrey's a 7th-rounder this year out of Nebraska, and Winfrey, he's been a practice squad level player for a while, but they should get plenty of opportunities. And then from there, you have a couple teams with 7 healthy receivers. Arizona is one of them. You're looking at the likes of Andy Isabella, Andre Baccellia, and Greg Dortch. Dortch is a guy that's really opened eyes this preseason, so I would look at him. And then you can potentially maybe look at like a Philadelphia situation where most of their starters shouldn't play too much. Devontae Smith is injured. That should leave about 7 healthy receivers there. And I think Rager is somebody you could look at just as a back end of the roster guy, or Britton Covey, kick returner type, who is undrafted out of Utah. At tight end, we finally get a chance to switch teams here. We have San Francisco as the team with the fewest healthy bodies here. We're not expecting to see George Kittle. Charlie Warner's injured. That leaves just 4 healthy tight ends, one of whom is Ross Dwelly, who's their locked-in backup. Tyler Kroft, Tanner Hudson, and Troy Fumagalli round out the tight end room here. Tanner Hudson, he is a receiving threat, and he's been a guy that's popped in previous preseasons. he should get plenty of run with whoever ends up playing quarterback. Trey Lance probably is out there for a brief period of time before they go to Sudfeld and Brock Purdy. So I'm looking at Tanner Hudson at the tight end position. Defense, as usual, spread your exposure across the defenses. It is very volatile. But that'll do it for me. You can find me on Twitter at Matt_Kajeski. Let me know in the comment section who you like in tonight's preseason games. Until then, we will see you again next.